Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We absolutely love doing these webinars. This is going to be What's New in Syncro. And I've got Ian here with us today.
Hey folks, how's it going?
So while we go through, what we're going to do is just in the last, I think, geez, like 6 to 8 weeks, we're going to go through everything, all of the new stuff that we've released, give you examples of maybe use cases for these things. And we're also going to do a Q&A. So we will leave time at the end to do a Q&A. You can absolutely use either the chat box or the Q&A. I think it's easier for us to manage if you use the Q&A so that we don't miss anything. But feel free to ask questions as we roll right along. Okay, so I'm just going to get going. I am going to go ahead and start in the leads module. So what we've done here, what happens, leads can be used in several different ways. So if you're new to Syncro just in general, leads are kind of a catch-all. So like if someone emails your mailbox, meaning they email in support at or help at, and they're not already a customer, or Syncro can't match the email that they used with a customer, it'll show up in leads. And so what we've done to improve this here is instead of continuing to, get spammed, you can now mark things as spammed, and you can, delete and process things from here. So we've tried to kind of help clean that up. Let's see here. The other thing that we've done, I'm going to go in and I'll show Mailer. This is kind of one of those features that sometimes gets a little bit hidden, but it's awesome. You can create custom campaigns. You can do triggered mailings, blast emails, and that kind of thing. But what we've done on the back end now is that these campaigns will only send to customers that I believe it's a valid invoice within the last 13 months. And so we've done that to just kind of help clean up your lists and that kind of thing. Let's see here. I'm just gonna, again, we always kind of fly through these. We are recording, so if you miss anything, you can always kind of watch this back. But another thing that I'm going to show you, if you go to your admin section, we released portal user permission groups a while ago, meaning you can now decide, okay, I want this customer to be able to access this, and maybe something different for an admin, for example. But one of the things that we've added is now you have this status filters. So when you're in the customer portal, and I'll show you the customer portal here in a little bit again, and I can kind of show this as well. But now you can give customers access to filter on those tickets and things like that. So adding another permission group there. Let's see here, a couple other things I've got in reports. Let's go ahead and I'm going to head over to our reports section, and you can now filter by customer on the pending ticket charges. And pending ticket charges report here. So from here, you can now filter this. So we're trying to, add different filters and functionality to our reports all the time, just to make this a little bit easier for you on the day-to-day and get the information that you want right away. A few other things. I'm going to go over to assets and RMM. And again, I'm flying through this. If you have any questions, feel free to post that in the Q&A. But I'm going to show you what we've added to a saved asset search. So I'm just going to use this little magnifying glass to pop this out, and I'm going to create a new search. So you can see there's already a lot of different subsets and categories and ways to filter and create a saved asset search. But what we've done is now you can filter, and if you choose the Syncro device as your asset type, because as you know in Syncro, if it has an agent installed, it's a Syncro device. That is the asset type by default. You can absolutely create whatever other manual asset you'd like. But for example, if it's a Syncro device, you can add property conditions now. So, and we got pretty granular with this. So this just allows you to create even more of a detailed or refined saved asset search. Let's see here. Oh, and there's not really a setting to show you, but in automations, in automated remediation, if you have a certain alert automatically create a ticket for you, what we've done is just added that if a ticket's created, if like in your action section you have convert to ticket, it's just going to automatically give you an in-app notification for that ticket. Um, all right. Okay. I'm going to head over and hand it off to Ian for a few.
All right. Cool. So, first thing. So if you ever get an alert, an RMM alert, and it's for CPU or RAM usage, they are now infinitely more useful. Now the alert will include the top 5 processes that are consuming CPU or memory, depending on what kind of alert it is, and how much is consumed, and that will therefore enable you to then go and do the diagnostics and say, oh, well, that thing is probably a fault. I don't know why that's installed anyway, and uninstall it, or whatever you might do. So if you were to get, I don't know if we have an example one here, but if you were to get an alert and you click on it or whatever, you view the alert, you would then see a description there that has, instead of big fake alert, it would have a list of the top 5. So super helpful and nice little improvement there. Okay, next thing. So you can now monitor multiple disks simultaneously. We basically expanded and made the the hard drive space thresholds way better. So now in the policy, you can pick like, I want to look at my system drive, which I think is the top one, and I want to make sure that it has at least 15% free space, and I can add another drive monitor to make sure that it has at least 50 gigs or something like that free. You can monitor multiple different drive letters and things like that. So it just makes it a lot more flexible. Um, a lot of people didn't want to do this for, they have a bunch of computers and they know like all of my system drives are solid state. So I don't actually want to do 15%. I want to do something else. So um, that helps you do that. Okay, next. So for SMS, so if you are using SMS, um, it basically enables you to communicate with your clients via text message, right? So if you're in a ticket and the customer has a mobile number attached to it, then you will have the option to, instead of saying email, yes, exactly. So SMS service, if it's enabled and you scroll down and you go to the ticket communication there, you'll have the option to have SMS, which we will have in a second. There we go. So there's SMS. So they can respond, and they can even use they can even attach an image, and it will show up as an attachment to this ticket, and it will show up below in the communication log, which is pretty awesome. So they can now send you a screenshot or something. Okay. Next, the customer referral report. So this report is for knowing how your clients found you. So what we've done here is we've added this checkbox, limit report to customers created in this period. So we have some examples here. People heard about us from Google or whatever. And if you only wanted to see people that were created in the last month, you could do that, or in the last year or whatever time frame you want. Okay. Last thing, and the probably coolest, is native services and processes monitoring. I need to pull up my notes because this does a lot of stuff and I don't want to miss anything. So, okay, let's talk about why this exists. You probably all know, but let's just make sure. So you have clients, they have computers, and sometimes those computers get real slow because a service or process is taking up too much memory, or CPU, or something isn't working right because that service or process is not running at all. So we made this awesome thing. You can monitor services or processes. They're very similar. In the top right, you can click new monitor or whatever, and then there's a drop down. So this one is an example of a process monitor. You can give it a name. The require logged in user makes it so that it waits till they're actually logged in. Sometimes processes don't start till the user logs in. And you can delay it till after a certain time after startup. processes usually start in order, and sometimes it takes a couple of minutes for them to start depending on the order that they get started in. You can have it create an RMM alert if a process is not running after X minutes. The cool thing here is that you can monitor in here for multiple processes. So we could add, right now we have notepad.exe. It accepts wildcards and stuff. So if you wanted it to be like, I don't know, maybe you have a variable process name or something and you want to put a star in there, you can. So you could put star.exe and it would wildcard all processes, which is not recommended, but you could do that. So let's say Notepad is not running. You could check this start process box, and that will then tell Syncro, hey, if this process isn't running, I want you to start it. And it's smart enough to know that there could be a 32 or a 64-bit path. It will look at your system's architecture automatically and determine which one it should use. And if it needs to run as system, you can check that box. And you can do this for multiple processes. A couple things to note here. The name of the process, it's case insensitive, so you can type capitals wherever you want. Okay, a couple other things. So below, now that I've selected the processes that I want to monitor, now I can choose, do I also want to monitor for CPU and RAM usage? So let's say I do, I can say I want to know when it's above 80% for 5 minutes or something. A couple things here. If there are multiple of the same process, so you have like 5 Chrome windows open, what it looks like in Task Manager is 5 Chrome.exes. What Syncro does is it automatically sums those up, and it's using the total of those in here. So if there are 5 Chromes and they're each 20%, that's 100%. So that's what 100% would be. Okay. Now, then at the bottom, there's this response here. So this is what it should do if it detects an issue. So it might create an alert. And the cool thing is here, if you scroll down, we have a button here. So you don't forget to save your change. But there's also this save and generate remediation thing, which automatically will create an automated remediation based on what you've got here, which is very, very cool. And then you can say like, oh, well, I detected that this service isn't running and now I want to run this script and fix that in a special way that whatever. So there's cool stuff that you can do there. And we're pretty happy about this one. So this is a very cool feature. So a couple things. You can add these process and service monitoring monitors to your policies, and you can have multiple of them. So that is pretty awesome. Okay, cool. That is my last one. Go ahead, Crystal.
Okay, awesome. Yes, service and processes. Monitoring is amazing. All right, so we have a little bit of just that quality of life improvements here on this screen. We've added a contacts column so you can quickly kind of scroll through and get a number count of how many contacts that customer has, just kind of making things more visible for you right off the bat. Okay, this is pretty cool. We have added in the customer portal, and I'll pull up a customer portal too. But we've now added the ability, you can change like the color scheme. It'll use your account logo now in the actual customer portal. And I believe it's either in account profile, let me look here, account profile or general settings. One sec here. It's going to use that logo, by the way. But if you go to general preferences, you can see that you have portal accent color mode. So you can change the color of your customer portal now. So, I mean, it could be, there's a lot of different colors. So hopefully, you know, one of these will match, you know, your business. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to choose purple for right now. And I will go ahead and then, so let's save that and go to my customer Larry here. And if I go and show you his customer portal now, you should see that it now will be populated in purple. And so it's bright, it's clean, so it's really nice. And then again, it's also going to use your company logo here now. So it's just nice to have some additional branding in that customer portal. All right, so let's see here. I'm gonna head over to the App Center. If you go here, you'll see all of our integrations here, but we've added recently Splashtop. So that's new. It functions very similar to both Screen Connect and TeamViewer, meaning you set up the integration first here through the App Center, and then a secondary part of that, then you'll go to policies. And once you have a third-party remote session tool enabled, you'll have a totally new section here, and it'll say like bring your own splash top, for example. And once you enable that on a policy, any asset that is associated with that policy will then install Splashtop or one of the other ones as well. So we've recently added that. It was definitely highly requested. Okay, a couple other things that we've done. This is really cool. If you go to your admin section, and again, these are all of these things that we build for the most part are based upon the requests that you have provided for us. So we're very feedback driven. So this was another one that we were getting often. So it's the ability to, on our parts module, if you go to preferences here in a part, you can now enable percentage markup. So you can across the board, just if you have like a specific, as your business, you mark everything up 15%, for example. Now you just can add that here, and it handles everything on the back end, and you don't have to add that markup to all of your different parts orders. All right, let's see here. One of the ones I'll just kind of talk through, can't really show you an example right this second, but our tech hour report, right now it didn't have a column for a company name for the CSV. So for now, like now that if you want to do this tech hours report, it will now include a company, so that you have a little bit more information when you're exporting that to a CSV. Let's see here. Invoices will now sort chronologically. So you have, we continue to add these different filters here so you can filter by date and that kind of thing. Okay, time clock. So this was, I think this was last week's Feature Friday maybe. But if you go to your admin section and you go to your users, you can now require a time clock. So let me just go ahead and go into my demo engineer here and show you. So here you can now require user to use the time clock. So whether it's whenever they're active or remind them every 5 minutes to clock in. So this was, again, major quality of life, to be able to kind of keep track of your technicians, employees, and that kind of thing. All right, Ian's turn. I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
So, first thing, you can now get notifications in the notification center when, I'll wait till Crystal gets there, when someone updates their stored payment method. So if you're using WorldPay and someone updates their credit card, then you can basically get a notification for that.
I can't remember where it is. Oh, a new card was stored, a payment was made. Yeah, all
Yep.
updated here.
Yep, which is super helpful. Okay, next thing. So for serialized products, oh, did I skip?
Nope, I skipped.
Okay. For serialized products, sometimes they each have like a serial number, and it's like hard to know like which one is in stock, which one isn't, and where they are, and all of that stuff. If you scroll down here to product instances now, you can export to CSV a list of all of these products or product instances. And so that should help you kind of reconcile stuff a lot easier. Okay, next. So super helpful thing. If an asset's offline, if you hover over that little symbol, it will now tell you the last time it synced. So if there's a computer that you haven't seen online for 7 days, but you're not really sure, now you can check in a very easy way, which is nice. Okay, next, in Syncro Live, there are some cases we've seen where PowerShell was an old version that doesn't work as well. So when you start the terminal and you go into PowerShell, and this version is a new version, but if it had been an old version, you would have gotten a nice little error message that actually tells you that, whereas before it was a little bit confusing. So then you could go update PowerShell. Okay. Next, in the asset, this has existed before, but actually people get confused about it. But this system specs button, I think before it was just called view. Um, this is now laid out in a much clearer way. The formatting is much better. So you can get through this and read it faster, and there's more system info in there and stuff like that. So it's great. Okay. Next, we added a new setting. It's in admin and then RMM settings and preferences. And what this does, I think it's called like auto update. What is it? Ensure assets name shown in Syncro matches the computer's name going forward. So the use case here is you've got a computer and for some reason the like computer name gets updated locally. Okay, well now you've got the computer name in Syncro and you've got a different computer name in reality, and it's hard to reconcile that. So some people feel very strongly that it should automatically update in Syncro to reflect when the computer name is changed down here, and other people are like, no, I don't want that. So you have the option. You can check it or not check it. Yes. Okay, cool. Your turn, Crystal.
Okie doke. All right, so a couple of things that I will show you. I guess this is more, I'm going to describe to you what this is like. So we've added, if you go to invoices and then our reoccurring invoices screen here, if you had one of our payment processors enabled, you're now going to have a totally new column that will give you the status of the stored card. Is that, yes, the status. So it'll say like if it's active or expired or anything like that. So now you can easily scroll through here and know if you need to contact your customer and update a card and that kind of thing. Now, a few other things. If you go to your reports section, again, we're continuing to add that functionality to reports and make them as usable as possible. But we have this this gateway reconciliation report. And again, if you don't have a third party payment processor hooked up, this won't necessarily offer a ton, but for now, if there was an invoice here, it's actually clickable and it'll take you straight to the invoice, whereas before it would list the invoice, but it didn't give you anything actionable. So we've added that. All right. SMS option now hidden if there is no mobile phone number on the customer detail page. So for example, I'm going to head back to Larry here and I'll just kind of show you what I mean by that. So if you have a customer that has a mobile number here, you'll see that if you click new, you'll have the option to send an SMS. What we've done is if you were to edit this customer, maybe they don't have a phone number just to begin with, once you take that phone number away and you go to new, it's now not going to give you the option to send an SMS. So just kind of taking that out of the hands as an option. Let's see here, more items. I love this. So in your dashboard now, there are so many things that are clickable. So you can look at the tickets that are closed today. So there's a lot of different things. So if you hover over and it gives you the option to click here. So we're going to continue to add functionality here as well, but this was highly requested to be able to kind of go to these tickets right away. So that's kind of a really nice improvement. Okay, then the other thing is if we go back to reports, we have an asset audit report now. So if you head to, it's in the RMM section, asset audit here, it'll let you know it's new. So from here, I'll just go ahead and let's look. I always use Mr. Larry's lamplighter. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to look at all of his Syncro devices. So again, you can create as many custom asset types as you want. But let's just look at Syncro devices and run this report. Now, not only is it awesome that we have this asset audit report, but now you can customize the report as well. So you can actually add all of these columns. These are the columns that pull from just the assets and RMM screen in general, and they're here available for you as well. So you can customize that report. You can even use save searches here to create that audit report. So really, really awesome things. And again, you can convert this to a CSV, PDF, and you can even schedule this one as well. All right, Ian.
Cool. All right. So for those of you that have clients that are, I don't know, paranoid, or like maybe they're residential clients and they don't want you to be able to remote in whenever, we added the ability in the policy to enable attended access as opposed to unattended access. So they have to approve your remote access sessions. If you have that enabled, then when you click the remote desktop connect thing, what will happen is they will get a prompt like this. And so it will have your logo and your company name, and they'll be able to say like allow or allow for a day or deny. And then it'll have this remote session opened session indicator. So it just gives them a little bit of peace of mind. And that's on the policy there. So pretty straightforward. That was very highly requested. Okay, next thing, MCSoft. For those of you using MCSoft, they have a new cloud portal which enables you to configure more things than we can in just our policies. So we worked on a way for you to link your MCSoft licenses to the MCSoft Cloud portal. And once you do that, it's kind of a pain. You have to like enter the license key and then run a script basically. But once it's in there, then you can configure it to do whatever you want and get a lot more information and stuff like that from their cloud console. And Crystal's kind of showing you what that looks like a little bit. They have essentially a policy on their end. And it just gives you access to a lot more stuff that we don't have. And so we wanted to release that for you because there were lots of random use cases people wanted access to, and MCSoft told us, hey, you could just give them access to this. It gets you all of it. So that's what we did. Okay, next, creating invoices directly from part orders. So if you, yes, Crystal will show you a part order. And now there's a brand new invoice button up there. And when you click it, it makes a new invoice, which is awesome because that's usually what you want to do with those things. So that's pretty much it. And down there, it'll be in the line items. So that's pretty straightforward. Okay, so for those of you that use Microsoft Teams, there's now a Microsoft Teams integration. Once you set it up, it'll show up in the notification center just like our Slack integration does. So if you hit yes, we'll wait for her to get there. And then you will see a new column on the right side next to webhook. It would be right there. There would be another column for Teams, and you could choose which events you want to send to Teams. And then, you know, in Teams, there's a whole thing you configure on that side. But pretty awesome, and hopefully helps a lot of people get more access to info. Okay, last thing is all-day appointments and multiple-day appointments. So if you head over to the calendar section, or actually this works too, you can create an appointment, and now you can choose if it's all day, and it can go multiple days. So it could go 2 days or whatever. And then when you head to the calendar page, yep, go ahead, yep. Now, I made a fake one earlier. Now there's this, you know, you can see this one goes for 2 days. There's that appointment there. We didn't have that before, so now we do, which is great. Okay, that's all the stuff.
It's all the stuff. Okay, so I'm just gonna clean up my screen here a little bit, and then we can start heading through the Q&A. Okay, let's see here. And I think there's some in the chat box too, huh? All right, if you see any, Ian, feel free to hop in. I'm just gonna try to catch up here for a sec. Let's see here. On for an asset field having a blank value. On an asset search, can you search for an asset field having a blank value? Do you know that, Ian?
Um,
I'm assuming we're here.
you mean like a custom field? Is that what he's after?
I'm kind of thinking so, because like if you have an asset like a checkbox, for example, you could have have it like unchecked or checked.
Yeah. What about on a text field? I think if you just leave it blank, I think it works.
Is just
Yeah,
blank.
I think that works.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
Like a
Okay.
BitLocker key. So if BitLocker key isn't there, yeah, I think if you just leave it blank, it'll check to see if it's blank.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Let's get that one done with that one. Let's see here. Is there a way for the end user to run a script by clicking on the agent in the taskbar rather than having to go to the portal? Good question. You can add a command line to the system tray icon right now, but not a script. That's a feature request at this point.
Yeah, I would like to add that. It's yeah.
And so if you're familiar, again, you can customize the system tray icon, but also what the functionality that's already there, if you didn't know this, because I think this is something we released a while back, but you can make scripts available in the customer portal. So for example, if your customer logs in and they have access to this portion of it and it's a managed device, like they can click into that device, and if you had a script available, your end user, your customers can actually run those scripts. So if you haven't seen that before, that's what we're referring to. Let's see here. Okay, get rid of that one. Let's see
I can
here.
talk about the reports one.
Okay.
Yeah, so Matthew asked a question about if we're addressing improved reporting capabilities today. We have gathered a ton of feedback about reports. I think you'll see that we're going to be releasing, we actually already have released quite a few improvements, but we're going to continue to release a bunch of improvements. It's all based on stuff people are saying. So lots and lots of stuff coming out. I will say, having looked at some of the feedback, actually, I looked at all the feedback. A lot of the things people are asking for, you can already kind of do. In particular, the asset audit report lets you do lots of stuff that people, for example, a lot of people are like, I want to see assets by operating system. So you can do that with this report. And you couldn't do that before. But with this report, you can. And the fact that you can change the columns that go in this table kind of enables you to get any of the reports that you're like, I want to see all the assets that have this. However, there are a ton of things that people are telling us that you can't do with reports. So we are working on that, and you'll see lots of stuff coming out. It's probably not like one giant thing that's going to drop. It's probably like 50 small things, because that's actually mostly what people are asking for. So yeah, and we're super happy to take more feedback. So send it to us, and we'll fix stuff and improve it. Okay.
I see a couple things, and I do think this falls into a feature request category where we talked about how you can customize the color of the customer portal, and what I see a couple different places is the ability to have like a custom color here. So I think right now that is valid feature request so you can match up your business colors
Sure.
so we can relay that to the team.
Yeah, I think we'd have to add another thing in the drop down that's like text white or black, because or maybe just another hex code. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
if you have a black background, you can't have black text. Okay. Um, let's see. Remote session notifier. Any way to customize with logo or color? Blah 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 blah. Yes. No, not currently. But if you want to shoot us an email, that's a good feature request. We're happy to. That's pretty straightforward. So
Um,
happy to do that.
yeah, for sure. Ian, I'm going to read this one out loud. Under the new process monitor feature, love it by the way, will this basically replace the resource usage alerts under profiles? I never really liked the way it worked as there was no auto resolve for memory or CPU usage alerts. Um, I don't think it replaces that. Um,
Um, yeah, it doesn't replace it because those CPU and RAM usage alerts, that's like overall CPU and RAM usage, whereas the process and service monitoring is per process, I guess, or per service or group of them. Um, you can actually auto resolve these if you want. You would use an automated remediation to do that. So you would go into automated remediations and you would say like if the um, alert type is CPU usage or whatever, then close the alert. So Crystal's showing that. I think yeah, clear alert. Yep. Or I think it might in the drop down it might be that CPU usage alarm, and then there's another one I think called memory usage alarm down below.
mhm.
Yeah, so you basically use either of those, and uh, then you could clear the alert. Okay. Okay. Please expand on the mailer module and the 13 months since last invoice, as we aren't using Syncro for billing yet, but we are using the mailer.
Yeah, I think like what I can do, I can find out because I don't actually know the answer to that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that's happened. So for context, um, sometimes we have people that sign up for Syncro just to spam, like they're like bots essentially, and they like use Mailer as if it was like Mailchimp or something, and they just try to spam people. So that's bad for everyone, and it hurts deliverability. So we try to catch people misusing Mailer, and that's probably where this came from. There's a bunch of stuff in the background. I don't know all of it because there's a lot. But we're happy to find out. If you have other questions or something, you can shoot one of us an email. We can get you more info.
Absolutely. Okay. Is there a way to get a numbered notification for tickets show up in web browser the same way alerts? Oh, I see. So I think you're meaning where there's this red badge of the amount of alerts, you'd want that for like new tickets. I think that's what you mean and seems valid.
Yeah, the hard part is like, what would you show? Like, are you showing unresolved tickets? Like, different people would want different things. One thing that you might like, if you're looking for that, is if you click View in the top right, there's the ticket dashboard. This has something really similar to that, and it's customizable. So you can get basically, how many open tickets there are and a list of all the different tickets. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can change the colors and whatnot and what shows up. And you can publicly share this, put it on a TV or whatever you want to do. Um, so maybe this will give you kind of what you're looking for there. Um, yeah, I guess we could make it so you could customize the number, but okay, let's see. Do you have an Active Directory user report? We do not have an Active Directory user report. I bet it's super easy to do via scripting, but we could make that. Yeah, people have requested it. That's one of the things people gave us feedback about. I think it relates to network discovery, which is another feature request. So there's, yeah, stuff to do there.
Let's see here. I'm going to read this one too. With leads, it seems they work very different than customers. Perhaps I'm not seeing correctly, but I'd like to be able to track my communication with a lead. At customer level, you can manage and view multiple communications and different contacts. We can't seem to do that at lead level. Okay, so a few things. If we just head over, I'm gonna go to leads just so that we can all kind of be on the same page as what we're looking at. So if we go to a specific lead here, like from here, I mean, you can email back and forth and you could see like a communications log. You can process this into a ticket and those kind of things. But the main thing, like if you were to convert this lead to an actual customer, you do have, you can somewhat manage, and this might be like a difference in verbiage, but instead of using the leads module, you could convert them to customers, and you could technically use something like custom fields to say like if they're a prospect or what, like where they're at in your pipeline. Because what I've seen some users do then is just like you can do for a saved asset search, you can do like a saved customer search. And so you can search by that custom field, and you could have a saved search of like all of your open opportunities or open leads or something like that. So you could have a quick, like if your sales folks want to just see, okay, I've got 3 leads in here, I'm going to go ahead and then make contact and that kind of thing. One of the reasons I would recommend using the actual customers module outside of leads, if you want to be tracking this as like more of a sales funnel, because from here, like with a customer, you could create like a new reminder, for example, like, hey, contact them in a week, that kind of thing. And you can keep them up to date using custom fields. And then again, all of your communication logs here as well. So I don't think you're missing anything. I think that there's just different ways that you could achieve this just based upon, what you're looking to get out of it.
Yeah, I think there's more stuff. Another way of saying this is there's more stuff we could add to leads that would make it better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, under the new process monitor feature, the area you configure, quote, alert if any services are, when it's set to after X minutes, does it check every X minutes then? My concern is setting to too low and having it checked too often. I don't fully understand how often the monitoring cycle that my service monitor is going to run. Yes. I'm actually, I think, I don't want to give you the wrong answer. I know how it works when it starts up, and then when it's monitoring after that, I don't know how often it runs. Hold on. I'll find out for you. I don't want to give you the wrong answer.
Okay. Yeah, we'll find out and follow up. Couple of things I will address. Someone has a question if there is a limit to the amount of script results you can see on a particular asset. That's a good question because I have this machine. I've ran like a ton of just random scripts because I wanted to see, actually for this reason, I wanted to see what it would look like if there was a lot of them. And honestly, like, I guess I haven't run enough to see if there's a limit there. Do you know if there's a limit, Ian?
I'm not sure.
I don't know
No.
either. We could definitely test some things out there. But again, we can follow up as well. Um, and then another question, is it possible to set up alerts via ping, being alerted if a router, server, etc. goes offline? So right here in this, if you're on a machine level, you can go to system checks and you can add a check here. So whether it be ping, HTTP check, you can add, like, select that here, enter the remote host information, have it check every so often, notify, and rearm. And then what's kind of cool is that you can even set up automations based upon that. So if you get an alert and that kind of thing, you can have it trigger off different actions and that kind of thing here. So that would populate here. And I think I actually even created one here just to see kind of what I could do and have it, once that pings, have it create a ticket, or there's a lot of different actions you can take as well. All right, done with that one.
Okay. Let's see. Under credential access report, is there any way to get it to apply to the encrypted fields using the Password Vault app or add-on? IT and MSPs need to have audit reports for accessing sensitive information. Right, because it shows you the credential access, not the Password Vault access. Um, hmm. Yeah, maybe. Um, I'm not sure. The Password Vault is very, very secure, and part of the reason we had to make mass credentials is because the way that we built the Password Vault was like so insanely secure that it like inhibits us to do anything. It uses OpenPGP, so we don't have, and it's encrypted locally, so we don't have the keys. So there's no way for it. I don't know. It's really annoying. So uh, maybe. I don't know the answer. We're giving a lot of maybes. I don't know the answer specifically because the Password Vault uses OpenPGP and Mass Credentials uses different kind of encryption method. So maybe.
Um, okay, I think this is, let's see here. Have you considered adding a feature allowing us to send a message to an asset and have a notification appear similar to how to request the remote access works? Um, yeah, I think that that's definitely in discussion mode, almost like an ability to, if there are certain alerts that maybe, like, again, if you set up like an automated remediation where, like, if there's low hard drive space, maybe pop up a little modal on the end user's machine and let them know they have an issue. Yes, that's something that we've heard a lot of. I don't know if it's necessarily scheduled at this point or anything like that, but I know that it's at least in consideration
There
mode.
is a workaround where you can basically do this already. It's not custom branded, but it also doesn't say Syncro. So you could make a script that has what's the variable called? A runtime variable. So just go to new script real quick.
Okay,
Oh, well, yeah, okay, we have
it's
alert
okay.
user.
I think we had an example, but we can talk
Yeah,
through it here.
it's fine. So we have, if you click PowerShell, you can add a script variable and do a runtime variable here. So a runtime variable will like force the technician to enter a message when they run this script. So then you could like say the variable name is like message, and then in the um, in the script here, if you scroll down, there is this PowerShell help thing. So you'd import the Syncro module, and then there's a display message thing, which shows like a Windows message box dialog thing. It's just like the OK button with a message. Um, and you would then, instead of having the message there, you would use that variable above, message. Okay, so then if you want it, now that you have that set up one time, if you want to send a message to someone that's a custom message, you just go run script, pick that script, and it'll ask you for the message. You type it in, you click run, it'll just pop the thing up for the user, and they click OK. So you can totally do it that way. Okay. Let's see. Is there an executive report showing activity on the account to be emailed to the client? There are various reports that show that kind of information. There is a report called the Executive Summary Report. There's also the Executive Summary Report is a combination of the Customer Detail Report and the Customer RMM Report. So yeah, go ahead. We'll type that. Cool. So it looks like this. It's like, what kind of tickets did we have? What kind of issues did we have? Who worked on them? How long? What operating systems do you have? How many viruses have you had? All that stuff. And you can schedule this to go to people. There are other reports like this. I really like the Customer Detail Report. There's also stuff like the vulnerable patches or vulnerable systems reports that you can send to them that basically show how many updates are waiting or how many systems don't have all their patches, things like that. And we have lots of improvements coming for a lot of these reports. So if you have feature requests for them, let us know. Let's see. Is it possible to see machines that need patching on the front screen in Syncro? So you mean on the dashboard page? Not currently, but there is a report for that. It would be the Vulnerable Systems Report. And that will show you all the systems that have missing patches. Let's see. Any that you're seeing, Crystal?
Let's see. If we enable the computer name sync, will it overwrite a custom name we have given an asset in Syncro or just the computer name under the system specs?
I think it overwrites the asset name.
Yes.
Which is why it's controversial.
Yeah.
So you can take your pick. You can either turn it on or leave it off. In the system specs thing, if the computer name changes, it will change that automatically because that's just a value we pull every time Syncro syncs. Okay. Next. Let's
see.
Derek's upset that I suggested that he can use chat. Or sorry, the message box. I know it's not a thing. That's why I called it a workaround. But you can do it because we don't have that functionality yet. And just like all the other feature requests we get, we'll prioritize them based on how many people ask for them and release them in that order. And some people have asked for chat. I think we will probably eventually do something like that. I have to say it's not as high impact as a lot of the other things people ask for that like enable them to make more money and stuff like that. So we'll get to it, but it's all based on stuff people are asking for. So we'll get there. Let's see.
I was going to address, I had a few that I'm seeing over in the actual chat box. It says, I'm a newbie. Why would I want to use Splashtop instead of Syncro Live? So honestly, Syncro Live is awesome, and I think there's only like a few reasons. I mean, we have different remote session tools, some like Screen Connect, TeamViewer, and Splashtop. I think there's there's a couple of different answers to this question. So sometimes MSPs like to have a backup option. I just like to always have a secondary tool available. There are certain things like, for example, with Screen Connect, and this was kind of brought up too, like with Screen Connect, you can use, they have like a chat module, right? So there's certain functionalities in all of the different remote session tools that maybe you're like, I love this one thing and I need it. And so I think that's the main reason. So it's preference, and Syncro Live comes included in the subscription. And if you're either new or on a trial, we definitely recommend to install as many endpoints as you can and test it out and do what makes what's best for your business. And then just right after that was a question, any integration with Malwarebytes planned? So we have an integration with Malwarebytes. And so what you can do is if you go to your App Center, you'll find it here, right here. So we do have an integration. You can set that up here. And once you do that, once you have that integration set up, it automatically will put two specific scripts into your script library. And one of the cool things I'll just show you, and a common use case if you're going to be using Malwarebytes alongside with Syncro, what you can do is like on a policy level, at the bottom of a policy, if you've not seen this, you can actually have scripts running. This first script is where you would put like your Malwarebytes install script, and you can have it there. And then you could add an additional script here for, you can actually then monitor Malwarebytes as well. So there's like, monitor threats. And you could run that every 15 minutes if you wanted to. So that's kind of the functionality there. All right, what's next?
Cool. I heard rumors about an integration with Passportal and Auto Elevate, perhaps being in the works. Can you confirm said rumors? No, because I don't really know anything about it. I don't. We're not working on anything. If there's something that's happening with Passportal, it's happening on their end. I don't really know anything about that. So and I'm not just trying to deny. I'm just saying, honestly, we're not working on anything with Passportal right now. So if it's happening on their end, which is totally possible because we have a public API. So if they wanted to write something, they could, and they wouldn't even have to talk to us. Okay, hopefully that's enough.
I was looking at how do I keep certain devices and servers from getting the Splashtop Screen Connect client when I enable it for a company-wide policy. If you did not want certain machines to have it enabled, they would have to have their own specific policy. So just whatever your policy was minus Splashtop, for example, you could call it that and just not have it enabled. I think that's the best way to handle that.
On the remote sessions, is the customer able to terminate the session from their end? Technically, they could stop the Syncro Live service, but there's no like user-friendly way for them to do that. Let's see.
Is there an integration with QuickBooks? Yes, we have an integration with both QuickBooks Desktop and online. Most of the functionality it speaks from Syncro to QuickBooks, and so anytime an invoice is generated, edited, marked paid, all of that automatically syncs to QuickBooks Desktop or online. Upon like the initial integration, you can pull in all of your customers' inventory and all of that stuff as well. We are rapidly approaching the 10 o'clock hour. Do you see more questions, Ian, that you want to address?
There are probably too many. Let's see if we can get a couple in here. Yes. One person points out, for the person that asked about Splashtop, that some of the remote session tools have different costs than others. To clarify, we don't charge you for them. But if you're choosing between Screen Connect, Splashtop, and TeamViewer, some of them have more favorable pricing for you.
For all of, if there's kind of some questions left in the queue. If there's anything that we didn't get to today, if it's on the technical side, feel free to shoot an email to help@syncromsp.com. Or if there's just anything additional that we weren't able to get to today, you can shoot me an email. It's crystal@syncromsp.com. But we want to thank you all for joining us this morning, hanging out. It's always fun to be able to show you all the cool stuff that we did. So thank you so much. Happy holidays.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining.